Hey, this is Collegetalktv, and now I'll be doing a movie review on Django Unchained. And yes, the D is silent. I keep saying the Django for some reason, but anywho, um, basically the movie is Jamie Foxx, who is the main character, who is a freed slave. Well, he's actually a slave at the beginning of the movie, and a German bounty hunter frees him and a group of slaves. And they go out because the bounty hunter needs his help to find these three brothers who he needs help identifying. And the bounty hunter is he doesn't like slavery. He thinks it's, because if you look at it, Europe actually got rid of slavery. I mean, decades way before America did. So America was sort of behind the curve on this one. But anywho, Jamie Foxx, he does pretty good on his first bounty, and then he wants to find his wife, because in those days the slaves were looked at as property, and even though they loved each other just as anybody else does today, they were often separated from their loved ones and their children. And one of the things a slave master can do when a slave was tried to run away or whatever, he would threaten the slaves that they ran away, that he would send them like deeper and deeper down south, because the deeper down south you went, the harder it was to get north. So if let's say you lived in like Kentucky, before the Fugitive Slave Law Act in what was it, 1850, if you got to a northern state, you were considered free. But if you were a fugitive slave after that, you actually had to escape to Canada. That's why Canada actually has a large black population today, because a lot of the slaves just went all the way up to Canada. And the movie pretty much takes off, and he goes around. He's actually like a natural like shot with a rifle, and it's sort of like funny and ironic that he goes around and like pretty much kills the majority of the people he kills were like white slave or people who were like the hands on the plantation or whatever. And so it's sort of like ironic that he's just going around. So then basically he meets up with this huge slave owner down in what was it, Mississippi. I think it was Mississippi. And it's Leonardo DiCaprio, and he has like the third or fourth largest plantation in that state. But he runs it's called Mandingo fighting, which is basically like an MMA style fighting to the death. And it's gambling. It's a huge thing back in those days. And he pretty much, and he also has Jamie Foxx's wife, who he actually he tries to manipulate and get around to, he wants to, like, because in those there were actually black, like, freed black slaves who actually were, like the hands on the plantation, actually used to whip the other blacks. And I was crazy, I didn't know that. But he like he sees his wife, and who is it? Samuel Jackson, like, and he's probably the funniest dude in the movie. He's like an Uncle Ruckus in this movie, and he's it's just funny because he's like, I never seen Samuel Jackson sort of act like this, like a former Black Panther, and like he's like just like a bad dude. Now he's like sort of like Uncle Ruckus in this movie, and he talks like is we see today, boss, or something. Say it's just funny. I mean, I know some people would be offended by that, but I mean, it's Samuel Mother effing Jackson, so who cares? But it's that's one of my favorite actors too. Maybe #1 favorite actor, either him or Denzel. But he does a pretty good role, and Leonardo DiCaprio. The movie actually getting a lot of flack because over its overuse of the N-word. And to me, that's a bunch of BS, because in those days they didn't say, "Oh, may you please pick the con." They're like, "No, you this and that. You better do this, or you want to get." And a lot of it's very graphic. But at the end, I'm not gonna try to spoil it. But man, it's a very good ending. What's the name is handling business, but and it's because and I really can't feel bad for what happens at the end, because you know they sort of deserved it for what they, you know, did to their slaves. But I don't know. And then, you know, Spike Lee is you know, crying about it, just probably trying to get some more press attention. You know, I mean, I liked his movie Malcolm X. I like a lot of his other movies too, but you know, lately he just seems to be trying to get attention for you know, for unnecessary reasons, such as he says this offends his ancestors, and he hasn't even seen the movie, so that's sort of like that. His statements on the movie are just like thrown out the window just because he hasn't seen it and he wants to criticize it, you know. And I mean, this is better than any movie he made except Malcolm X, and that's keeping it real. But I like Quentin Tarantino, you know. And Spike Lee wants to call him racist. I mean, like the majority of his movies, the main characters are like either black or Hispanic. So, and when people complain about his movies being too violent, well, that's how all of his movies are. Like Machete, Kill Bill 1 and 2, but he did make those. You know, Grindhouse, like all those are his people, like, you know. But that's just his style of making movies. So, you know, like it or dislike it, I like the movie. But yeah, thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, and like. Have a nice day.